I've adjusted my watch and I confidently can say it does not deviate more than 2 seconds in a month.
But I think this is a secret. This was big news for me. I had no idea.
A watch that deviates 30 seconds a day is still 99.97% accurate.
Why would you put the tourbillon on the case back?
In my opinion, brands shouldn't charge for an accuracy adjustment.
When something works perfectly, people used to say, oh, you know, it works like a Swiss watch, meaning that it works with 100% accuracy, but any Swiss mechanical watch has some margin of inaccuracies.
So it's an interesting saying you bring up, and that puts a lot of burden on the watchmaker's shoulders that watches have to be absolutely perfect compared to all the other machines we use in our lives. A little interesting information is a watch that deviates 30 seconds a day is still 99.97% accurate. Imagine that. And, people see it as, oh my God, it's 30 seconds a day. How could that be? But compared to any other types of machines we use, margins of error much bigger than the watch world are tolerated. There are so many disruptors around us in our environment. There's gravity, there's vibrations, temperature, shock, movement. All these have an effect on the movement of the watch, and this in turn has an effect on the accuracy of the watch as well.
There is difference between how accurate watches are, because for meta certified watches it is allowed 0 to plus 5 seconds a day, and for a superlative chronometer it is -2 plus 2. So now the question is it better if I only gain time, or if I lose some time but also gain it, because over time it compensates and it balances out actually?
Well, these variations that are given to you as information, as technical information, they try to paint a picture of what are the acceptable tolerances. If a watch can vary in the negative or in the positive, that's what the manufacturer is sort of communicating. However, as a watchmaker, I prefer watches to gain time instead of losing time.
How do you measure?
We do have machines to measure accuracy. There are two types of machines. One is camera-based, so it looks at the hands and records what time is being registered. And the other one listens to the movement. It listens to the tick-tock of the movement. The arm that holds the watch will move in different positions, up to 6 positions, and register its accuracy in all positions. We value certain positions more than others. This is also important to mention. You rarely have your hand up like this all day. So the crown up position generally is one of those positions that the watch does not find itself in.
Oh, let's talk about that. Depending on your daily activity, even your profession, the accuracy of your watch could be determined.
The best way, actually, if you have a close relationship with your authorized retailer, workshop, watchmaker, and you notice the deviation and it's always very consistent. Let's say your watch deviates, it gains 3 seconds a day, every day, and this is very consistent throughout your day. You can bring your watch to the watchmaker and ask him to slow it down by 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds. And your watch will start working, if it is consistent, a lot more accurately. I speak with my own experience. I've adjusted my watch and I confidently can say it does not deviate more than 2 seconds in a month. I've adjusted it constantly a few times, and now it's extremely accurate. I synchronize it to quartz watches, and I'm blown away by its accuracy.
Did you put a spring drive movement in there?
No, it's a purely mechanical movement, but I adjusted it and I tested it, and
wow.
From the witchy machine to real life, there is a discrepancy. And so if that discrepancy disappears, you can get a watch that's a lot more accurate.
But I think this is a secret. This was big news for me. I had no idea. And probably this is something that watchmakers keep to themselves, because we are buying the watches and we know that that's okay, it will have some inaccuracies and we are just living with that.
You take a piece of paper, at the end you synchronize your watch in the morning, and then let's say the following morning at the same time, because it has to be consistent, at the same time, 24 hours later, you write what the discrepancy is. Has it gained 2 seconds, 3 seconds? And then you do the same for over a week. And first of all, that allows you to go through your weekly, activities, how you do it. And you'll get a very good profile. Is your watch always gaining 4 seconds a day? Which is really good. If it's consistent, it's really good. The problem is if it's not consistent. If you see gaining 4 seconds on one day, 10 seconds on another day, and on some days it's minus, that's more difficult for the watchmaker to adjust.
The position of hand, how it affects the accuracy of the watch. Can you go through each of them and explain, like, crown up is better than crown down, for example?
Crown up, usually the watch slows down, or you can test it with your own watch. If you leave it flat on your night table versus if you leave it crown up, you might notice that crown up, most watches will actually lose seconds a day. So if your watch is gaining and you leave it crown up at night, then you might actually even out your accuracy over time.
I want to connect this to our previous second episode, which is in our channel, and you can go back and watch that one too. Very interesting topic about winding the watch, where you told me that if you wind the watch till the end, that helps the watch to run more accurately.
Yes.
How does this help?
So when you wind the watch fully, you are giving full power to the balance wheel, and the balance wheel is swinging very fast in a very good motion. It has a good motion, and this prevents actually from external movements and vibrations and wrist movements or even gravity to have an effect on the balance wheel. So the more force there is behind the gear train, the better the amplitude or the back and forth motion of the balance wheel, and the better the accuracy, because you are trying to block out external elements like gravity, movement, vibration, and so on.
When people had pocket watches, they used to lose the accuracy more frequently because of the position that they had. And watchmakers came up with the idea of the tourbillon.
Tourbillon is an interesting concept, and today I think we pursue the tourbillon ideology because it's beautiful to look at. It's also a very complex mechanism to create, extremely delicate, and not all watchmakers are able to produce a tourbillon movement. So again, it's in terms of legitimacy of manufacturing capabilities that manufacturers will pursue a tourbillon more than accuracy. However, back in the day, a tourbillon was trying to even out the different positions of the pocket watch. Since it was always in one position, instead of the balance wheel going back and forth in one position, the tourbillon allowed the balance wheel to turn around in a 1 minute motion, and that averages out the workings of the balance wheel.
So today, when the watches have the tourbillon, is just for the beauty that it has, and that's all. It doesn't help the current mechanical watches to be more accurate.
It does help out the rate, but we are far beyond what the tourbillon can achieve today. We are a lot more accurate with today's technologies in terms of the COSC certifications and the metas. So the tourbillon is more of an aesthetic element today. I find more of a complication and a know-how of how to manufacture these delicate components.
I was reading about this watch from Jacob & Co., the casino watch we talked about earlier. And it has a tourbillon, but you don't see it on the face of the watch. And you have to turn it back, and you see that on the case back. Why would you put the tourbillon on the case back when it doesn't have a lot of effect of the accuracy of the watch, but also visually you don't see that? Just to maybe prove that we could do this, and just on the case back, and that's all?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, when Breguet invented the tourbillon was not invented for its looks, or it was hidden inside the case. The case back was closed, and you would never see it at all. It was completely encased in the pocket watch movement. It was simply a technology evolution at that time to say, okay, if I'm having accuracy issues, and I want to remove the effects of gravity on watches, well, why don't I create this type of mechanism? And like any other types of mechanism, it was hidden inside and no one could see it. But the pocket watches were more accurate because gravity was affecting less the balance wheel.
Let's talk about spring drive, because Grand Seiko recently announced about their Evolution 9 watches, and mentioned that they lose 20 seconds over the year, in the entire year, only 20 seconds. This is something that usually watches lose or gain in a month, mostly. First of all, what is the spring drive, and how could this achieve this kind of almost perfect accuracy?
The spring drive is sort of a hybrid between a mechanical movement and a quartz movement. Closer to a quartz than a mechanical. Let me explain.
Many people will now say, what are you talking about? Because I know this is a very controversial topic.
That's why I want to explain. It is not a quartz watch. But why I say closer is because most of the movement is mechanical. When you wear the watch, you wind the mainspring, exactly like a mechanical watch. That mainspring uses a gear train to bring that energy to the escapement part. Spring drive is the same. It uses the gear train to bring it to the escapement part. And where we have the escapement, that's where both movements sort of diverge in opposite directions. The spring drive energy drives a flywheel. A flywheel is basically a wheel without any impediment with magnets around it. And these magnets are connected to an electronic circuit. This electronic circuit has a quartz oscillator on board. The electronics of the movement basically look at the speed of the flywheel, and if the flywheel is going too fast, it will slow it down via magnets. If it's going too slow, the magnets will ease off and the flywheel will be allowed to go a bit faster. So this slowing down or speeding up of the flywheel is what keeps the watch accurate.
I get the sense that the accuracy of the watch is not something very rigid. I bought the watch, it is losing or gaining time, and that's it, I'm stuck with this. And from what I understood is that it can be very flexible, and you can adjust it, you can deal with that. Everything comes down to the awareness of the watch wearer, probably, how much you know about watches and how can you handle this, the accuracy, and also the positions that you mentioned, how you put your watch, etc., etc.
Yes, well, this is what makes the mechanical watch world extremely interesting. It's because they're almost like living creatures, and they have their own temperament, they have their own personalities, if you look at it that way. And a good watchmaker will try to understand how the person is wearing the watch and try to calibrate it, adjust it to meet, the person's lifestyle. And this is what it means. Many brands actually won't charge for an accuracy adjustment, or in my opinion, brands shouldn't charge for an accuracy adjustment, because these watches are adjusted in Switzerland, in Geneva, or depending on where the manufacturer is, at that altitude, and then they're shipped all over the world where climate is different, altitude is different, and these are all elements, outside elements, that do affect the accuracy of the watch. So it should be allowed for customers to go back and request an adjustment. But before that, customers should also do their due diligence and homework and try to record of how the watch is acting extremely precisely.
You said that you are reading forums and what people ask, what people write about watch accuracy. Have you read any interesting question that I didn't ask you today that you would like to answer to, or some remarks that you would like to make that we missed during this conversation?
I think we covered pretty much everything. What I wanted to mention is people buying the measuring equipments, the off-brand of the witchy testers, and testing it at home and trying to draw conclusions. It's a lot more complex than that when watchmakers calculate time, the accuracy. So don't necessarily rely on what results you see. It also affects if your machine is a high quality machine. So for example, the machines we have in our workshop are worth around $11,000 Canadian. The copy machines that come from China to measure accuracy of watches are a fraction of that cost. That also reflects on the quality of the machine and how it perceives or listens to the movement and the results that it produces. So don't necessarily rely 100% on that equipment. No, an official certified workshop will have the latest technology equipment, and it's a lot more precise equipment. The equipment itself is also manufactured in Switzerland by people working closely with manufacturers, and everything works better together. So rely more on what your watchmaker says than what you see on your machine that you purchase from Amazon or AliExpress.
I'm still thinking how come you'd adjusted your watch to lose or gain 2 seconds monthly when it's supposed to do that daily. So I'm still under that impression.
I'm telling you,
Jealous.
Sam, every time I open my phone, I compare it. The second is exactly to where it should be. I'm amazed of how accurately it's keeping time.
Thank you very much,
To the
Grigor.
second.
That's
Thank
a great
you, Sam.
conversation. Thank you, and talk to you next week.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Have a nice week.